Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet. Today I want to talk a little bit about Churchill's war rooms. Now, from my recollection, Churchill's war rooms are a relatively modern addition to London touristy things to do. We've watched a couple of documentaries that have highlighted Churchill's war room, and when we went to the exhibit, we had a great sense of anticipation. I walked away from this with mixed feelings for a variety of reasons. I guess I have a sense of Churchill now through the Dardanelles, his effect on Gallipoli and Anzacs, where, there seem to be some curiosities in the Churchill mythology. This display had two combinational factors. The first was that they gave everyone headsets, which meant basically you had I don't know what one would call it, kind of droid-like individuals just wandering around a space, making it relatively difficult for those of us that didn't want headsets, that actually wanted to experience the space firsthand, to interact with the environment. It was all a little bit chaotic, or a little bit aggressive, and really I don't think it gave the nuance, the timing, the general sense of what these war rooms meant. The displays themselves were actually very good. My wife and I had the sense that we'd missed certain sections only to find them later. And once we got away from the cell phone, infused participants that were wandering around listening to stuff at high volume, we realized that this was an immense experience to have. We then moved into the multimedia section, which was the kind of conclusion of this thing. And we realized through this that there was a lot more to Churchill than met the eye. There was a small part of the exhibit that talked about a lot of the negative cartooning, predominantly coming out of Germany, relating to Churchill. But the important thing is Churchill lost the election after winning the Second World War. And I think in general, certainly there's a working class social narrative that said that Churchill was fundamentally aloof from a lot of the suffering that the folks in London and other bombed cities experienced. And that seems to set the right tone, as far as I'm concerned, with regards to a lot of these aspects that weren't really touched upon through the war rooms. We emerged into the gift shop with my wife exclaiming, "That's your thing," and pointing over to a group of Osprey books. I purchased maybe 5 of them. And we also got some Second World War era posters and various other little bits and pieces. So we certainly frequented the gift shop, left with probably more that we'd taken. But in general, yes, I would recommend the Churchill War Rooms as an experience. I'm not necessarily sure how factual they are, and in particular the propaganda associated with Churchill that's passed through the multimedia exhibits. Questionable at best, but worth seeing if you're ever in London. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.